It's quite interesting at the number of black females that's constantly attacking black men on the internet. But yet these are the same black females that get offended when black men attack back and say derogatory things about them. See, what they fail to realize is that disrespect goes both ways. I'll repeat that. Disrespect goes both ways. So when you disrespect a black man, you can almost expect him to return that same energy to you. So if you don't want a so-called black man disrespecting you, why would you disrespect him? Now, there was a video that I commented on, and I tried to be as respectful as possible. And it was regarding black men that try to control black women or try to control women in general. So I responded and said that I personally would not want a woman that I'd have to control. That woman should automatically know her place as a woman. And of course, I had people that liked that comment, and then there's always one black female that don't have a video, don't have a photo to identify themselves, a troll, a typical YouTube troll. And she responds with how I contradicted myself only because of the fact that I had mentioned that black females cannot give a man permission to lead or let a man be a man. So she said I contradicted myself. And of course you had other females that mentioned Cynthia G, and then they start referring to me as Dusty. So after, I'm going to tell y'all something. You can only take so much. You can ignore so much for so long before you start biting back. So then I responded with the only thing that's dusty is the sour and dusty snatch between your legs. And I'm putting it in an extremely nice way. That's the only thing that's dusty. And black females fail to realize that when you refer to an average black man that refused to agree with you, when you refer to him as dusty, you forget that these are the same black men that you pop out from between your dusty legs. And I'm sure there's a number of black men or men that have gone up inside you and it was extremely dry, extremely dusty, and in many cases, quite sour and foul. So before you decide to want to attack men, primarily so-called black men, just ask yourself the question, do I want him to really respond? Because we know how to shut you down. All right? Now, I've always been respectful. But there's a certain group of black females out there that want to keep the division between the so-called black men and black women going. They want you to hate each other. They want you to feud between the two of you. They want that. So they will keep mess going. So a black man can make a comment or respond, and a lot of females would agree with him. A lot of women would agree with him. They're on one accord. There's peace, and then there's always this one that comes along and attack. And then there's always somebody that's sitting silent in the background, not liking the fact that you have the so-called black man and black woman getting along and agreeing. So the minute that person comes along and say, well, Cynthia G says these are Dusties and Dusties always contradict themselves, then that roach that's sitting in the background would respond and either like that comment or would make a comment herself and give fuel for the other roaches that's out there, right? They want to keep division going on. And when I hear black females ask the question, and when they tell brothers like myself that we need to build our own communities, we need to go out and talk to these kids and keep them from killing each other. Why don't you talk to black men and tell them to stop killing each other? Why don't you do something about the man that's killing y'all? Now, let me make one thing perfectly clear. Nobody is out there killing black men. The majority of the shootings that took place between police and the so-called black man, these so-called black men were out there committing crimes. And it's sad because the black communities got this warped idea that they should be able to do what white people do and get away with it. You expect to go out there and rob somebody, resist arrest, threaten the police, pretend like you coming out of your pockets. He telling you to show me your hands, and instead you're reaching for a cell phone. And then you wonder why you get gunned down. And another thing, it's interesting that you have so-called black males. And I'm talking to these wimp brothers. There's something else I wanted to say, but I'm trying to be nice here. But I want to say something to y'all that take sides with these females that refer to black men as Dusties when you disagree with them. Let me explain something to you guys. See, you have to understand that you are quick to go out there and protest, put your life at stake, lay down in the street saying Black Lives Matter, blowing up police precincts and police cars, shooting police officers and, sitting in their vehicles. You're standing face to face with armed police officers in a riot. Tear gas is flying. You're willing to sacrifice your life in a protest for a criminal, someone that was committing a crime. You deserted your family. You don't take care of your family. You don't take care of your wife. You got your girl working 2 and 3 shifts to support you. You driving her car. You don't support your kids. Your kids are growing up without a father, dying in the street, but yet you're willing to stand face to face with police to protect a criminal that you don't even know. Not only that, what I find quite odd and demented is the fact that you're willing to sacrifice your life for someone you don't even know. And there's somebody right in the hood that was shot down by another black dude. You have a bereaving mother crying because they had not yet found the killer of her son. But yet you know about it. But yet you refuse to snitch. But you say Black Lives Matter. But you allowing this mother to weep and mourn for her child, her son that was gunned down at the hands of another black person, and you talk about I'm not a snitch. But yet you put your life on the line on a picket line protesting Black Lives Matter. Make sense of that. That just goes to show how coward you are and how you are in support of your own people dying in the street at the hands of other black people. And when you're out on these picket lines, you're out there only because of the fact that you have an opportunity to loot these stores out there, to be a criminal, to do the same thing that this young man lost his life for at the hands of police. You're willing to be out there doing that. So you got all of these dudes that's talking about not snitching. You talked about Tekashi 6ix9ine being a snitch or being a rat. But yet, you're out on the picket line, sacrificing your life for someone you don't know, and yet you know people. And in many cases, it's your own family members that you know who killed them, but you won't say nothing because you don't want to be a snitch. I find that to be quite demented. So, I want to ask a lot of these black females out there, when you start talking about, and I'm going to go back to what I originally meant to say, when you guys start talking about black men need to build, need to stop other black men from killing each other. Build what? What exactly do you expect people like me to build? Number one, I don't live in the hood. I never grew up in that type of environment. So I can't even relate to a lot of what's going on today because I never had those issues. My sons had never had those issues. My brother never had those issues. My cousins never had those issues because we made choices for ourselves. We made choices not to be a criminal. We made choices to go to school, to get some type of knowledge in our mind, start our own businesses, or even work for corporate America. We made the choice that to take care of our children, if we lay down and decide to play, then we have to take responsibility for our own actions and our choices. Raise our kids. Even if you and the moms does not make it, man, you should be there to raise and take care of your kids, teaching them to do the right thing. Instead of teaching them, starting out, how to be thugs, dressing them like thugs. So I want to ask you black females a question. When you suggest that people like me help build the community, help talk to these young boys, so what you're telling me is you want me to raise another man's child. You want me to raise a dusty child, as you refer them as. Because these are the same so-called black males that you refer to as dusty. So you want me to raise another man's and another female's dusty child that came from between your dusty legs. Your dusty legs spit out a dusty child, and now you expect people like me to talk to them and to teach them to go the right way, to do the right thing, to stop killing each other. So why couldn't you do that? Since people like me are dusty, why couldn't you raise your own child to not be a dusty? Why is it that your children, single parent moms, are out here dying in the street at the hands of each other and at the hands of police? Well, there's two things in common. Either they're going to lose their lives in the street, or they're going to lose their lives at the hand of police out there doing criminal acts. So why do you expect people like me to build or to talk to your kids? Where's their father? See, you guys love to lay down with no good bums. And then you want to pick and choose who you want to be your child's father. Oh, we see that all the time on paternity court. We see that all the time on paternity court. Where you spitting out dusty kids and you don't have no father for these dusty kids. In many cases, you don't even know where the father is, or the father's locked up, or the father's dead. Lost his life to gun violence in the street. So now you want to pick and choose who's going to be your child's father, and then you start pinning babies on men, and come to find out you are not the father. And then you want to cry and use a sad excuse, I grew up without my dad. Then why do you make better choices for yourself? Before you decide to let that no good bum go up inside or between your dusty legs. And I say dusty because there's some females that's quite dusty, quite dry, can't get wet, be cutting brothers up. All that friction. But yet you got the audacity to refer to black men as dusty. So disrespect goes both ways. And I know there's black females that's not going to like this. And the good thing about me uploading this to YouTube is that even if YouTube removes this channel, it's still on Odyssey. It's still on Odyssey, and it is also on my WordPress page. So the information is still going to be there. Oh, and while I'm talking about Odyssey, also you can go and follow me on Parler. And it's at PenBlack. PenBlack. The @ sign and then PenBlack. I'm on Parler. And my Parler handle is PenBlack. Also, I have another YouTube channel that I recently created. And it's also PenBlack. 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 Back to the message. So don't make all black men responsible for the dusty males that you popped out from between your dusty legs. Now, when I made a comment on that video in response to a female referring to me as dusty, and I talked about, her dusty legs and the mom's dusty legs and sour legs, of course, the female that owned the channel removed my comment but left up the comment of the female referring to me as dusty, right? And it's interesting how people complain about YouTube censorship, Facebook censorship, and then you're going to censor other people that's being attacked on your page. See, that's one of the reasons why I don't comment on too many people's page, man, because people are on this far left agenda. There was another female that unfriended me because, she mentioned about Biden, and I was like, well, why did you vote for him? Well, that's all we had. So I held my peace because I knew that she wasn't a Trump supporter. But then this dude goes through my picture, pulled out a photo where it says, showed that I was a Trump supporter, and then he like, oh, now I understand. Another black dude, another roach. So then when he did that, I responded to him in the way he responded to me. She removed she blocked me. She blocked me, although this dude attacked me. See, so I don't comment on too many people's channel or video just because of the fact that you have too many far left mentality, and we're living in a time where you really don't know who is who. You don't know who's who, man. You have demons. You have wolf in sheep clothing. They're demons. The Bible says outside they're like polished tombs, but inside they're full of dead men's bones. So you have a lot of demons out there, man. And a lot of times you think they're on point until you talk to them. Or until you say something that they disagree with. And you find out that what appeared to be a sheep is no more than a wolf. A dusty wolf. So disrespect goes both ways. And I keep bouncing because there's so much more I can say, but I don't have the time, and it would be a quite long video, and I know that the attention span of a lot of black folk is really not that long, So your attention span is not that long to either listen to the whole video, but you try to comment, like you listen to the whole video, and I can tell that you didn't listen to the whole video just by your comments, right? So it's kind of interesting, but that's black folk, right? But disrespect goes both ways. If you don't want black men to disrespect you, don't disrespect us. Keep it calm, keep it peace. And instead of attacking people like me, you should be attacking other black females that come at people like me that defend black women in many cases. I only speak out against the ratchetness in our communities, not just with black women, but actually black dudes too. And if your child is ratchet, I'm going to tell you about your no good ratchet child. That's just how I am. That you need to get them in order. See, none of this nonsense that we see that's happening now is going to stop until black people get their house in order. Right? You want to be on the national stage protesting, but yet locally in your own community, you want to be a national activist, but locally in your community, you're not an activist. You know the person that killed that woman's child that lived across the street from you, that's best friends with your moms. But yet, you won't say nothing because you don't snitch. But yet, you got the audacity to say, stop killing us. Police need to stop killing us. When you're sitting there holding in, and the same police that you want to defund, they come to you and ask, do you know anything? Did you see anything? I ain't see nothing. And you know who killed that woman's child. But you hold that in and you watch that woman bereave and go through changes, man, because she lost her son. Every time she talk about her child, she start crying and break down, and you watching this, and yet you holding it in your heart, and you know who killed her son, but you won't say nothing because you don't snitch. But I don't see none of y'all with that same energy trying to stop the killings in your own communities. I don't see you doing that. I don't see you trying to be like a George Zimmerman, and I don't fault George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman did, I don't agree with him, but I can understand, because George Zimmerman did what black people should be doing in their own communities. Blacks just allow anything and anybody to come through their community. Oh, they cool. A white dude walk through the black community and he can be a narc or a spy. And you'll welcome that spy into your house. You walk into a white neighborhood, the first thing they're going to do is question you. Why are you here? What are you doing here? Who do you know? See, so black people, you need to change. And for all these black females that like to refer to us as dusty, well, these are the dusties that you pop from between your dusty legs. Dusty and sour. So disrespect goes both ways. If you don't want us to speak ill of you, don't speak ill of us. And y'all need to drop that dusty mess, because it can get pretty nasty. And you know you can't handle it. You start crying and talking about like, oh, you always attacking black women. Well, you're attacking us. And we're not going to take it too much longer. So feedback, tell me what you think. Check out my channel. The new channel I made on YouTube, Pen Black, PenBlack. And I'm also on Parler, Pen Black. Until next time, I'm fearless.